Let's do that thing. Um, Welcome back to this is the second episode of the sixth season of the Mercenary Guild, and we've got these two fine new recruits to the Mercenary Guild back again today. I'm excited to see you both here and your characters as well. We will get to them in just a second. I'm really excited because this is going to be your onboarding episode. So we're going to go through and we're going to do the personality tests. And then we're going to do some fighting prowess exams. And then we're going to sort of put you guys in a real fun sort of near deadly test at the end to make sure that you guys can really cut your proverbial mustard here at the Mercenary Guild. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. It is less jubilant a place than is displayed here behind me, but the space itself is not entirely out of sorts. The stone and mortar sort of aesthetic that the interior of the Mercenary Guild floating airbase offers. Um, I guess with that, we'll get right to the round robin. During the round robin, we like to do four distinct things. The first thing we do is introduce our characters. The second thing we do is share with one another and the world our pronouns. The third thing we do is introduce our characters. And the fourth and final thing is offer a vivid, aesthetic, description so that your characters may live in each and every one of our brain holes. Why, you might ask, is that important? We'll do it. Or you introduce yourselves, then you introduce your characters. You're gonna, well, that's fine. You introduce you. Oh, well, thank you. That's good looking out. Take it. Take inspiration. Okay. Then no, you know what? Thank you. Thank you. Why? You might ask. Because I like to vividly hallucinate with my friends on the internet for 2 to 3 hours at a time, 6 days a week, often multiple times per day. And today is no different. So, without further ado, Manuel, would you take it away and show the folks at home how it's done?
Yes, hello, I'm Manuel. I'm playing Curtis Drummer, Tabaxi Bard. There's a little joke. Tabaxi Bard and his drum kit walk into a spaceship, and then we don't know what happens. Well, I spare you the rest. Curtis Drummer actually goes by the name of Drummer, or as we found out last week, sometimes he goes by the name of Meat Shield. He's a very slender figure. He has problems carrying around all his drums at times, or at least he tells everybody that he has problems. But he is a handsome figure. He has honey-colored fur, dark brown tufts at the end. He got a bit of a neck beard, but you don't see it that much because he's got a huge multicolored scarf around his neck. He doesn't wear a shirt because he's got all his beautiful fur. He wears kind of some puffy trousers though, because he doesn't want people to scream that there's a naked cat around. So that's just for social purposes. Um, yeah, and basically that's Drummer for you, having just arrived on a spaceship, and he's excited to see where this goes.
Thanks, Manuel. Jordan.
Uh, Hello, my name is Jordan, and I use he/him pronouns. I am playing Analog, who is a feline-esque centaur. He is an Echo Knight fighter and rogue. Stands at about 7 feet. He has light brown skin that fades into a tiger-like pelt. The black stripes from his orange fur run up through his arms, and he has three stripes on both of his cheeks that are also black. He has long black hair that's twisted into braids and it's pulled back into a ponytail. There's a long bow that's strapped to his back, and for the most part, he just foregoes clothes entirely.
I wonder if that leaves drummer to be like, hey, maybe I could get away with not wearing pants around here. Hmm. Lovely. Thanks, Jordan. And then, of course, there's me, DMing Hadley, he, him pronouns, here for about 60% of your DMing needs, and I'll be playing the rest of the universe. Um, I mean, pants optional. I've been to no pants parties before. You can't wear pants. Whatever it is you do, they can't be pants. They can't be pants light. Generally bifurcated garments not allowed. Let's play Dungeons and Dragons then. The two of you were shown to quarters yesterday and bid you help yourselves to the various amenities of the Mercenary Guild air base. And it was explained to you that there are two sections of the ship that are fundamentally off limits. And it's pretty easy to see that they mean that very seriously because looking down the main corridor of the second deck of this airship, you can see a bright, beaming golden doorway that is just ripe with energy. And you can barely see through the illumination that it continues down a corridor. And you can barely see that it looks like there's a turnoff. And then it looks like there's another door at the end of that hallway. And just to its right, there is another one of these golden sort of force fields. It is crackling around the edges with a very intense, like it almost looks neon, if not for its size, light. And except for that, you are welcome to tour the facilities. And I can, maybe if I'm lucky here, I can even dig up an old map of the place. As the let's start with, is there anything that you would initially like to explore, or are you guys going to sort of settle in for the night and maybe get started tomorrow?
What do you think, drummer? What do you want to?
Well, I mean, we flew through the air. We flew through space. I want to have, I want to go and look for a large window. I want to see what's out there and possibly see the planet I'm from. Um, I'm just so curious. I mean, I get it that there are off limit parts of the ship. That's if I see energy cackling, my curiosity is instantly dimmed. I don't want to go there.
Sure.
But I want to see a window. I want to have a look outside.
Roll me an investigation check, please.
That's an 11.
Okay. As you walk out of the corridor, or out of the room that you're in, there's a short corridor. There's a bunch of doors sort of opposed to one another, obviously bunks. These are moderate accommodations. The beds are comfortable, but some of the rooms have, like yours, bunk beds. There's a couple of desks. There's a couple of closets. It's sort of dormitory style living here, but you're not you're not tripping over one another in here. It is obviously accommodating. As you step out into the hallway and look down to your right, you see that main corridor, and as soon as you poke your head around, you see that to your right, there's a doorway across the hall. And there's another doorway, and then farther down, even is another doorway. And as you venture out and around, you look to your right and you see a bit of a dining area. And there's a table that looks like it would probably fit 10 or 12, 16 if you really packed them in. And like cooking accoutrement. There's a full kitchen in here. There's pots hanging. It looks like a proper kitchen. Obviously, you can cook for a lot of people in here if you got to feed 16. There's that kind of setup in here. But what you don't see is a window. So as you venture farther down that corridor, you see that there's a room with a table surrounded by chairs. This looks more like a boardroom. There's another couple of rooms off to the right that look like storage. You can see sort of their vented steel doors, even without looking in, but you don't see a window. As you venture further around, you are disturbingly close to those two golden doors. And as you look dead ahead across that main corridor, you see a forge. You see all manner of weapons and tools and hammers lining the walls of this space. And as you look into that, you see a dwarven man step over and start pumping bellows. And almost immediately, the air rushes out, and you can feel this really dry heat blast through your fur, but you don't see a window. Uh, and yeah, it goes on like that past what looks somewhat like an infirmary. And very nice, no windows. And you go down one more room, and room is just like one long wooden workbench all the way around. And it looks like there's 400 projects being worked on at the same time in here. And you see Bios, that little robot, and she's walking around. She's got on a pair of goggles over her already goggly light eyes, and so you can see this like soft green illumination. And she's got rubber gloves on, and she's carrying, for her size, a very large cylinder, glass cylinder of some probably acidic liquid. And she sort of trundles over to another desk and rises up and sets it down without having to really look over where she's doing that. And she pops those goggles off and comes around the table and turns and looks at you and goes, "Oh, hi."
Hi, Bias. Everybody seems so busy around here.
Well, I mean, there's always something to do, and if there's not something that has to be done, there's always something you want to do, right?
Well, we just got here. Do you need a hand with something? Can we help? Shall we wait for anything?
Uh, she steps up a wooden step ladder and or stair step, and looks around at all the things on the bench, and she says, "I I mean, I'm waiting on parts for a lot of things, but I don't know. I mean, if there's anything you want to play around with, you guys have, orientation in the morning, so we're not going to ask too much of you tonight."
No.
Bios, do you know where a window is?
As we see your more human appearing face pop around the door frame, Bios looks up and goes, "Oh, there's not really windows. You can just go upstairs though." And she hops down off of that top step very gracefully and sort of clatters metallically across the floor past the two of you, the goggles still resting on her forehead. And she turns to the right. And as you look down at the end of this corridor, you came up a spiral staircase to this floor, but there is another spiral staircase that seems to go up again. And Bios, without hesitation, begins trotting over, clanking gently all the way. And we see her clamber up the steps. And you hear a soft, almost like rolling, grinding noise. And then you hear a soft hinge open and a bit of a pressure change. And Bios looks down around the bend in this circular stair and goes, "Are you coming?"
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Well, then come on. And she turns and trots up the last few stairs. As the two of you walk to the base of those stairs and start to look upward, you are already met with a dense star field. And as you walk up each of those steps, the profound expanse that is beginning to take shape is really impactful. And as the two of you crest onto the top deck of the Mercenary Guild airbase, you see Bios, arms outstretched, rubber gloves waving, as if they'd done a party trick. And you see this huge, long deck. And on it, almost immediately, you see these similar cut stone planters. And there's all manner of vegetation growing on the top. There's like a not a veritable garden, a real sizable garden up here. Lots of beautiful edible fruits. There's fruit trees on the far side that sort of rise up, and it's this weird sensation to see orange trees with stars glittering through the foliage. And Bios beckons you follow.
Well, I do. I'm. This is all my stars. This is. What is this? Bios, what kind of place is this? Is this for recreation, or is it needed for something?
Oh well, I mean, you um, uh, um, live. Organic creatures need to eat. Obviously choosing her words very carefully. And well, I mean, now we can go almost anywhere. We have all the food we need to feed a group of people, and it's pretty sustaining. We've got a lot of room up here. And as they move to the middle of this space, which is at its smallest, 800 feet wide, and it sort of opens up into an even wider structure. And the first like third of this nearly 2,400 foot long space. I mean, it is a half mile almost in distance across. And Bios just looks minuscule as they walk down into this diminishing view, overwhelmed by the stars in the sky. And Bios just sort of like trots down this corridor towards what looks to be an opening sort of plaza behind this beautiful garden, which as you look left and right seems so thick that when you look up, you feel like you're back on the ground, and then you start to sway unsteadily. But as you continue, you start to see more stuff that looks athletic in nature. You see these curved beams that seem to vivisect other weird metallic structures, and you actually see a woman in a black uh, cat suit, and she is swinging from post to post, and performing these feats of acrobatics that are absolutely uncanny. And as she does, she swings upward onto a crossbeam and looks down from several stories up in this structure towards your party, and she says, "Oh, yes, of course. You're the two new ones." And she takes she starts to lean forward. And as she does, you see her uh, draw from her other hip a whip, and it comes unfurled, glinting starlight as it swings upward. And as it does, you see this crackle of electricity fly up its steel or silvery braided body, and it wraps around a post, and she swings down, unfurls that whip, and lands in front of you as if she didn't just fly down 50 feet at a diagonal to land in front of the two of you. And she begins spooling up her whip.
That was impressing. I
Thank
I
you.
usually go by speed alone, but that was marvelous. I mean, this whole place it's so inspiring. You know, there's sentences pop into my head like "Stars, hold your fires." Might write a little poem starting with that. What do you think? And I look at
Um,
Analoth, not her.
yeah.
Uh, I'll be sure to proofread the poem when you're done. This sounds like a
Uh,
good start.
I'm going to recite it over and over.
Oh,
Yes, you will at some point you'll get sick of it, I'm sure.
I'm sure it'll come sooner rather than later. Anyway, how did you do that? How did you get down at that angle? It seems like you should have broken many parts of your body doing that.
Um, she leans in, and as you look at her, she has a truly beautiful form to her face. It's simply undeniable. Everything is preternaturally equal, and her silvery white, sort of fluffed mohawk draws those features even longer. And the nearly shaved sides of her head twinkle in the starlight from the fresh growth of silver hairs. In her cat suit, I have said it before and I will say it again, and she will say it now to you. She leans in and says, "I've never missed a day of jazzercise in my life."
Oh, well, it is paying off, certainly. It's very impressive.
And she stands back up and clips her whip to her hip, and she says, "You two don't party too hard tonight."
Yeah, everybody mentions that something will happen tomorrow in the morning. Do you know any details? Is there
Um,
any?
yes, they're called assessments.
What are you assessing?
Everything. And she begins to stride through the two of you and starts walking towards the aft of the ship. And as she does, and you turn back, Bios enters that same space and says, "Yeah, assessments. You guys are going to do great. Don't worry about it. It's not really so much a pass or fail situation. It's they're just assessments. And Bios begins to back away slowly and gives you one of these, and then turns and begins to scamper after this woman in black.
Okay, well, we kind of found a window. It's really gorgeous up here. What are you ready to lay down after
Yeah, I mean
walking the
these.
length of the ship?
Yeah, these assessments. I mean, usually I'm good at all things except for feats of strength, and if something goes awry, I just can talk my way out of any situation. But usually after that, I run, and I mean, where do I run here? It looks like they got this place pretty much covered. I mean, I cannot really hide from anyone if I lie to them or deceive them.
Well,
Mm,
I I would recommend not lying or deceiving to people that have us thousands or
mm-hmm,
hundreds of feet off
mm-hmm,
the ground. That
mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
prefer the way down that they have versus being tossed.
Okay, not lying, not deceiving. Well, I can surely try that. I'm not sure how that will go. I'm a little bit out of my element when
If
it
you're going
comes
to
to.
lie, do it well.
Oh, well.
If you're going to lie, be consistent.
Oh yes, I always put in
That's right.
a little grain of truth, and then I let it grow in funny directions.
All right, just be
No, no,
careful.
but Analoth, don't worry. We're in this together, and I probably won't say anything that gets you into trouble. Probably, maybe. I'll try. I'll try.
All right. Well, if you do, even if you get yourself in trouble, I'll still have your back.
Thanks. No, but we can just lie down for the night.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, as we see the two of you start making your way towards the back of the ship, we sort of back out a little bit because from close up, it is almost difficult to perceive the world below you. From this height, you can still see a line of blue, but you really can't see the planet for what it is up close. But we're fortunate. As we pan out, we can see this ship just a diminishing speck against a bright blue and green verdant sea and coastline. And as the world spins underneath you, you don't see it, but we certainly do. The encroaching darkness, these dark gray mists which hang over sea and continent alike to the east. As you make your way back towards the back of the ship and descend into the lower level, you see Bios once more. And Bios stops Drummer first and says, I was under the impression that you had um, uh, drums. You're drummer. That's drummer. You drummer. You have drums.
Yes, yes, I have different drums. Yes.
Can I take measurements of those, please?
Oh, sure, sure. Uh, why?
The volume is important when it comes to resonance.
Um, I I guess I knew that, even though I never thought about it in this theoretical terms. But
Certainly.
hmm
Great. She bebops past you and pushes
hmm
open the door to your room. Now you've got quite a number of drums, right?
hmm
Uh, like like seven, like eight?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a head drum, I have like a little soldier drum, and then I have like some snares, and I have what's called in the what's called a ten, and for me it's like I play it like a bass drum, but it
Sure.
could also be like a bongo drum. And then I got these little hi-hat things.
You're
So
like a one
actually,
man band setup here.
it's like a one-man band
I
setup.
love
Yeah.
it. Okay, great.
hmm
As Bios comes in, we see all of this, and she just starts measuring everything out. And she moves with a dexterity that's almost alarming. But her precision is unmatched. And in the course of about 20 seconds, she seems to have measured everything. Including you to some minor degrees. And she spins around at the door behind you and says, "Thank you." And she turns and looks up Analoth, and as as she looks up towards Analoth, we see this sort of like tremendous scale compared to her because she's about 2'8". And so more than three times her height. She looks up this tigress body to your face, and your single longbow across your chest. Um, and she starts to look down ponderously, and then she snaps and turns and walks past you. And you hear her start to clatter around in her lab behind you.
While this is happening, I start about 5 times to tell her, or I try to tell her like anecdotes from different performances, but her energy is so strong that I always have to break up, and I'm just befuddled. I look at Annalot and I say, I'm lost for words, and that usually never happens.
I mean, she's there's something else. It's really cool just watching all the life on this ship. It's a lot to take in. Uh, she's so small though. I'm so worried I'm going to step on her, and then that's not going to go over well. I imagine.
As the two of you make your way into the room, we see that door shut and the light go out from underneath the door. And I'm curious, is one of you an early riser?
As a
Well,
cat, I don't think so.
no, I sleep about 18 hours a day.
Okay. Yeah, it is definitely earlier than you would like it to be when you hear a metallic rapping on your door. And Bios goes, I think you meant to be up by now. You've got a day ahead of you.
Ah, I stretch. Mm-hmm. Aha, aha, yeah. Uh, oh my. Is it starting? Is this part of the assessment already? I'm awake. I'm awake, and Well, I'm probably lying.
As you say that, the door swings open, and illumination from the hallway pours into the room. And as Bios crosses the threshold, the lights in this room, which seem to come from everywhere, turn unnecessarily bright. And Bios walks in and says, "Sometimes a shock to the system is actually good to get the juices flowing. Although at this hour, and she looks down at her wrist." Where there is clearly no watch, nothing is moving around on her wrist. At this hour, you probably should have been up and stretched. Um, uh, there's coffee in the mess and breakfast if you want it. And she turns and starts to skitter out of the room.
I just want to give Drummer a really dirty look for already being standing and stretching.
Hmm.
And I'm going to blame you. It's your fault these lights are on.
It's- Her energy is infectious, and hmm, maybe I can nap during the assessment if nobody's watching.
Sounds like a plan. Uh, I'll slowly get up and do some stretches, but I have to make a show of looking very unhappy about it.
Sure.
Where's the mess?
You know it's spread around. I don't know. Does your character? Do they forget?
Uh, Probably.
No, if there's food and coffee, I just go by smell. I'll find it.
Yeah. You see Curtis, drummer, go sniffing around a corner past Bios's lab. And as you duck down to get out of the room, you can actually get a little bit more of a stretch here in the hall, even with your hind end in the room still. And as you pad out into the hallway, look to the right, and you can see visible aromatic lines coming out from the mess hall. And at this point, Drummer is almost floating on them. And as you pursue and turn the corner, you see Curtis take his feet, and as you turn the corner, and Drummer, as you right yourself and look in on the scene, it's sparse. You see a white cat, uh, cat folk. He's standing on a sort of bench seat, and he's pouring a tea or coffee from a very nice silver set into three cups. And there's essentially this big, long, open table and this coffee set, and beside him is what looks like a pastries platter on a silver tray, which do stand out a little bit from the more rugged aesthetics in this room. He turns, setting that pot down, and looks at you, and you realize that at first there was what looked like a black collar. And then a bit of a change in the color, you realize is now a double breasted cream tuxedo jacket with a black shawl collar and black buttons, four of them. And he looks up and pushes the pads of his claws together, and his nails start to protrude and point against one another. And he says, "Hello, and welcome to the Mercenary Guild. I'm Chester. I am the head of the Mercenary Guild. Won't you join me for coffee? And he gestures gently towards the other side of the table, where there's 2 cups of coffee already poured, and there's a tray with there's like scones and cinnamon rolls. There's little warm biscuits. You can see the steam still coming off of them. There's butter and honey.
Good morning, Chester. I hope we didn't keep you waiting for too long. You see, I've been on the road for so many months, and since performances tend to be in the evening, I usually sleep until late afternoon before I do a little sound check in the venue where I'm playing. So this is a completely different kind of lifestyle with it getting up before noon, and so I hope you didn't have to wait.
Thank you. That's very courteous of you. Join me.
Yeah, I wanna slink around to uh, get some of the biscuits and honey
Okay.
before settling down in front of the cup of coffee that was prepared.
Excellent. The biscuits are super flaky. They're not layer flaky. They're just like they've got a great crumb to them. Obviously, a lot of butter used here. Please still help yourself to the butter. The butter looks delicious. And even cultured. You can see little glistening specks of crystalline protein in that butter. It's got to be good. And there's actually a bee nibbling at the edge of the jar of honey, very enthusiastically. And as you sit, Chester takes a seat across the table, and he's got this sort of low seat position, and so he only barely has to sort of like tip his coffee cup as he takes a sip. He says, "The Mercenary Guild will not always demand an early rise of you, but when it comes to orientation and assessments, we do try to ensure that, well, at any point in time, should you need to," and he looks down a little bit, "be activated, you are capable."
I nod, and then I go like, I don't know what that means. Sorry.
Ah. Um, you see, the Mercenary Guild, we provide a sense of both safety and adventure for our agents. They often are sent on missions that generally they are particularly inclined towards. Thus, the assessments.
I'm sorry. Have you seen me perform?
Um, we will. And he smiles and leans in and takes a big sip of coffee, and
Yeah,
then reaches over and daintily grabs a small creamer and just pours it, drinks it like
mhm.
from the little thing.
Because
Um,
I was under the impression that I was brought here on the merit of my past performances as an orator
um,
and drummer, of course.
Tell me more of your oratory.
Uh, I mean, there was this man, like a local politician, and he wanted to gain influence, but he was ugly as hell, and he couldn't string five intelligent words together. So he needed someone to convince the people that he was right for the job of mayor. I mean, it was a small town. And in the end, they merged four villages to have him run them because I did a little campaign for him. So that's the power of my oratory. Well, after I left, there was a bit of unrest. They burned down the city hall and that, well, what have you. I mean, I had nothing to do with that.
Hmm. And he takes another sip of his coffee and then looks up at Anilov. Not much of an orator yourself. How are the biscuits?
The biscuits are really good. I have I've gotten up like one other time to restock my plate. While they were talking, sit back down. Um, Not much of a performer. I leave it to drummer. I prefer to listen rather than perform myself.
Hmm. Do you have other hobbies?
Um, I enjoy bookbinding when I have the chance. Typically, when we go in towns and I can get the materials, and that way I can record our travels or give him a notebook so he's not necessarily using my ear to test out his new poems and songs like that.
Um, Roll me an insight check, please.
Okay, 8.
Um, he nods. And then he looks down at the table for a second, and then he looks back up, and he says, "I was informed that the two of you stood head to head with a Hydra."
Yes, that was something else. I mean, there were so many. There were people. There were like elderly people. There were children, families, and you see they're all uprooted. They're all fleeing, and already they're in misery. And then out of the lake comes this two-headed hydra. I mean, what were we supposed to do? Just stand there and applaud it while she munches away on refugees? Uh, well, we thought about running, but then the thinking took so long that actually the Hydra was there and we had to fight. It was nothing heroic. It was just, you know, fending it off so the others could get away. It was nothing. Oh, we almost died actually.
Almost dying is not dying.
Yeah, you know, usually usually I would tell you a grand old story about how we fought the Hydra and but then But then I was told that I must not lie here during the assessment, and I'm a bit off my game at the moment. Can I lie a little bit, just embellish?
You are an orator, aren't you?
Oh yes, yes, sure. And I'm trying to be so honest right now. I'm not good at being honest, as you can probably tell.
I'm sure it comes with the business.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we defeated the Hydra. It was like nothing. You should have seen Analoth. It was marvelous. There was chop, chop, chop. One head goes flying, the other head goes flying. New heads come up. I send them to sleep. We go away. The Hydra comes up behind us, but then everybody's in safety. We did it. Basically, we're heroes. Yeah, forget what I said before. We're heroes.
Good. We need heroes. And he stands up and sort of brushes down the front of his tuxedo jacket, leans forward and picks up his coffee cup, and begins to just down the last of it. And he reaches down and he retrieves a cane, ebony black, with a gold tip and a gold sort of twisted handle. And he grabs it and sort of sits down on the bench and hops off. And just gives the sort of slightest lean into his right hip as he begins walking out of the mess hall. And he turns to the right. And as he walks down the hall, you hear a audible and that is met similarly with a change in illumination in the hall, as evidently one of the bright doors that are shielded has deactivated and reactivated.
And I love. Did I just say something that made him go away?
I don't think so. He just seems to be the aloof type. That shield
Mm-hmm.
was really cool, though. I
Mm-hmm.
wanna. I mean, do you think he has like something on him that lets him move through, or it's like I don't know. Like, how could we do that?
Yeah. I didn't eat anything because I think that he assessed our eating habits as well.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know what he got out of me eating 7 biscuits with some honey, but I hope it was informative. I recommend eating though. If they say today's going to be long, I want you to be hungry.
Yeah, I grabbed some biscuits too. I'm nervous, Annalot. I'm really nervous. And that's actually, I've never been nervous before a performance, but seems something else.
I think being in space will do that to you.
Hmm.
Um, I, I mean, everyone so far has seemed to be pretty mellow. It's not. I don't feel threatened by
Hmm.
them right now. I think even if we don't do well in this assessment, we'll just be put back on the Earth and left to go about our business.
Hmm. Do you think we're supposed to follow him?
I mean, the force field went back up. I hope not.
Okay. Hmm.
I think probably Bios or someone will come and get us once we're done with breakfast.
Yeah, I eat like half a biscuit because I'm really nervous. I can't get anything else down.
Are you having anything else, Analoth?
I want a scone too.
There's a scone.
I think that'll be it.
It's a cheddar and chive scone.
I will have 3 scones actually.
Okay, a little garlic in there too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying,
Three
little
scones,
chunks.
7 biscuits.
Boom.
I think I'm full at this point.
Okay, excellent. As you know, anime style, throw them back, which is hard to do with scones, but these are really good. They're really buttery. It's not. These are not dry scones. Um, you're sitting there for what feels like an interminable amount of time. There's a real weird, almost uncomfortable quietness right now. You don't hear the bellows going. You don't hear the hammering. You don't hear bios clanking around. It's roll me perception checks, please.
That's a 21 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a 4. The scones are really good. Apparently.
As as you're putting the last of these scones down, uh, drummer, you hear a faint, like sound of metal shifting, and it's on the other side of the door frame. And as you hear it shift, you start to see this. You start to hear, and you see this little sphere come rolling into the room. And as you look at it, you see that the liquid inside it is at first clear, and as it is being jostled, you see it starting to turn dark as it swirls. And Aloth, you've got scones.
I do have scones.
Yeah.
I don't see this. I'm just enjoying my scones.
And as you're enjoying your scones, suddenly there is a pop, and the room fills very quickly with smoke.
Yeah, just as I well, just as it happens, I motion to Analoth that there is something coming in, but then already the smoke comes in. Is the door still open?
There's no real door. There's just an opening here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, I start to move to the door, but I keep an eye out for Analoth, if he's still eating or if he's coming with.
Well, I don't really want to eat in a room full of smoke, so I'm just kind of trying to follow you by sound.
Can I get Constitution saving throws from the both of you, please? As the smoke seems to be getting denser in here. This is an enclosed space and it's not going anywhere.
That's a natural one, so it's a 3.
23.
Yeah, you're still eating scones. Yeah, you're otherwise unaffected. It actually, I think we see at your height, we actually see that the smoke's, because it's billowing up from the bottom and not being put off by fire. You're actually standing like a head above where the smoke line is settling, and we just see a scone come up through the smoke. And but unfortunately for Drummer, you go to get up from the table and start to clamber forward, and as you do, you feel a little uneasy in your tum tum. And the smoke hitting you seems to be having an adverse effect, and you clamber over the table and retch. And can I get a perception check, please, with disadvantage?
From both of us, or just Drummer?
That's an 11.
Just Drummer. You
a-
act 11. Great. Yeah. At your spot there, Analoth, as you look down, you can't see shit. There is. It's just smoke. You can't. You can see around here just fine. There's nothing up here. But you do hear a bit of a clatter, and you do hear a retch. And I think we see you finish off that scone. But Drummer, you feel something flat and um, uh, a little bit reinforced slap you across your face at speed, and we see a little bit of that dribble come flapping off of your face as we just see a blur, and you see the smoke in front of you still swirling, but you don't know what the hell just hit you at all.
We did have. I mean, the sleeping that we did counts as a long rest, right? So
You did get a long rest worth of rest, yes.
Okay. Then I want, because the smoke is unnerving, so I want to cast. Do I want to cast Thunder Wave? I want to cast Thunder Wave, but away from Analoth. And I just want it for the push away effect. I want to
Okay.
push the smoke away. I don't
I
want
like that.
to. So I make sure that I cast it away from Analoth. I mean, I still hear him munch on the biscuit, and I cast Thunder Wave, just the first level version. Or is it a
Okay.
cantrip? Yeah.
Go ahead and roll me the damage of what that would be, please.
Yeah, that's damage would be 9.
Okay. As you sort of look forward towards the filling, I mean, the where the smoke is sort of emanating from, and it seems to have stopped. It's as thick as it's going to get, but it was right in front of your face. And as you cast this, we see this, poof, and the smoke clears for the 15 feet in front of you. And you see all the pans and knives and all the shit that's on the countertops and that workstation just go clattering backwards and sort of bounce around from that shock effect. And from outside, we see that smoke down the halls. And then we see sort of a concaving effect as well as it come back in. But now there's about half as much smoke as there was before. Unfortunately for Analoth, the smoke has now gone all the way up, and now your head is in the smoke. But as you look around, you can sort of see now at least the outlines of the tables and the edge of where the kitchen is. It's a little thinner in here. Can I get another perception check, please?
Is that with disadvantage or normal?
No. It's just sort of as you're looking around, and it's sort of shades of gray in
Hmm.
here, but you can still see.
Then it's a 24. It's a natural 20 for 24.
16.
Yeah. As you look to your right, as you're sort of still draped over this table, you see Bios is standing at the far end of the room, and she's got a ping pong paddle. And and she sort of flaps it against her hand, and she looks up at Analoth. And Analoth, as you start to inhale this smoke, you start to feel queasy to your stomach too. Can I get another Constitution saving throw, please? This time at disadvantage.
Okay, well, I didn't put disadvantage, but my first roll was a 2. I imagine it won't get much worse.
You still have to roll.
Okay, well, the second one was a 15.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a 5 for me.
You're okay. You already got all that out of your system. But Analoth, you hadn't yet. And as you look down at the tray of pastries, you start to feel real disoriented, and it looks so far away. And then all of a sudden, you feel that cat like, and we see you lean down with your arms on the table. Now, both of you are sort of draped across this table, and you look like you're about to blow chunks. And you see Bios zip across the room, grab a huge cooking pot, and come dragging it because it's as big as she is across the room, and she manages to sort of spin it the last few feet until it hits the bench in front of you, Analoth, and you just blow chunks.
Oh, God. I feel awful. Those cones felt much better going down than coming up.
As Bios moves back towards the two of you, she goes, "Assessment's not off to a great start, guys. Come on." And she turns and starts walking out of the room, still filled with thin smoke.
Are there still scones?
Yes.
All right, I would like to pick one up before I follow after her.
Okay.
Uh,
Um, roll me an insight check, please.
It's a 13 for me.
Okay.
19.
Yeah, as you pocket that scone, actually, as you palm that scone, do you have a place to put the scone?
No, I don't have clothes.
I didn't think
I mean,
so.
I might have a satchel on my hip just to store things, but
Okay.
I don't have pockets.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna give you the satchel. That way, you're not just carrying around a scone for what comes next. But you think as long as you don't eat it in the smoke, it'll probably be every bit as delicious as it was before. Um, as you begin to follow Bios, drummer, you look down the corridor and you see her walking back upstairs. And she pops that hatch, and you start to see wisps of that smoke begin to sort of chimney out onto the top deck and probably into the atmosphere. And Analoth, as you follow behind, you're just biding your time until you can get to fresh air so you can eat this scone. Uh, but as you look to the right, uh, uh, Analoth, actually, both of you do. You see it sort of one after the other. As you walk past Bios's workshop, all of the benches are cleared. There were like 30 or 40 projects that she was working on all at once, and they are all cleared off the bench now in a single night. And as you step up onto the upper deck and look out, you we see you sort of backdropped by these rising, thin, smoky tendrils. And as you look onto the deck, you realize that you're not nearly as high up as you were last night. Last night you were way up there. Right now there's blue skies and thin, wispy clouds. So you're still probably pretty high up, but you can see sunlight sort of breathing the aft or the bow of this ship. And as you look out, you see Cyanil Silverwhip. Well, you see a woman clad in black, her silver mohawk and high heels, and she looks at the two of you and sort of rubs a little furrow point in her forehead and then looks at the two of you and says, "I am Cyanel Silverwhip. I am your quartermaster. I will provide, to the best of my abilities, the things that you need to succeed on your missions. Now, the assessments aid all of us in understanding your strengths and weaknesses and how you perform under various levels of pressure. And then I will do my best to make up any deficit." And she smiles somewhat wryly. Um, she says, "Our first test will be one of dexterity." And she begins to lean backwards and she cartwheels end over end 3 times before spinning on her hand and then cartwheeling forward and walking through this lush garden into the rising sun.
Uh, I guess that's what we're supposed to do. So I do cartwheels as well.
Okay. As you go cartwheeling forward, can I get a perception check, please?
That's a 12.
Perfect. Can I get a dexterity saving throw with disadvantage, please?
15.
Okay. As you go sort of tumbling forward, just gleefully, inattentively, you go end over end, and as you come up end over end that second time, you see another one of these sort of spherical baubles. And it is going to hit you in the head, right? Bam! Now. And as it does, we just see this plume of red, like powder at a festival, all around you. And Analoth, from your position behind Drummer, you see this sort of 5 foot sphere of red powder, and then you see Drummer come staggering out of his forward cartwheel, and you can see the outline of him. One side of him is almost perfectly and entirely coated in red powder, and the ground around him in a almost precisely 5 foot radius circle shares that same powder. And you hear Bios chuckle in the distance.
I gotta be with Bios on this one. He looks he looks pretty funny with
Uh,
his fur all covered.
what
Um,
what's that? I mean, there is a festival. I think it's on the far where they throw color dust at you. That's what is this?
it looks like you hit a trap. don't don't lick it.
You can lick it. You want to lick it? Roll me a nature check first, please.
That's a 20.
It does have a quite piquant taste to it. Whatever they've derived this color from, uh, probably as you sort of actually as you look around, you think maybe those peppers there were like ground, like roasted and ground down and powderized and mixed with something else to give the color to. So it doesn't seem toxic. I'll give you that. Analoth, what are you going to do?
Is I want to know, like, am I meant to be following her? Is this like the clear course of, where Drummer just cartwheeled down, or is there a less obscure and pepper filled way to my destination?
You do imagine that whatever it is you're trying to do here, you're going to have to get over there. Now, how you want to get over there is entirely up to you as a character.
What is between me and there right now? Like, is it just
You see a path, the same corridor you walked last night to and fro. And it is illuminated with the rising sun. And every second that passes, everything as you look down the way begins to get more and more washed out. You guys are essentially fighting into the sun, and that doesn't seem to be by chance. So the longer you stand there, the more blasted you are. How would you like to proceed?
um I mean, is it literally just like a straight walk, or I'm not sure I'm visualizing it the way you are.
You are at essentially the very back of the ship. As you look out, there's just like gardens and farms and all sorts of vegetation sort of flanking you on either side. As you look farther down, you just see sunlight sort of beaming. This was the same, there is sort of a straight path from one end of the ship to the other down the middle. And then there are varying different things that look like places you play athletic games or do feats of dexterity, as you saw Cyanel Silverwhip perform. But as you look ahead, it's a bit washed out, so you don't really see exactly what's coming.
Okay. I want to try my luck with the corridor, even though it's washed out.
Okay. As you begin to move forward, we see you move past where Drummer is. And how quickly would you say you are moving into this space?
I'm kind of slinking along one of the walls so that if something is, trying to pop up in my face or swat at me, I'm not going to run headfirst into like something sharp.
Okay. Roll me a stealth check.
14.
As you start sort of like dipping in behind each one of these garden boxes, really hunkering down for as big a creature as you are. We see we hear like a whistle as we see another one of these orbs sort of like fly onto the scene. And instead of hitting you, we see it hit a pomegranate and burst with this 5 foot sphere, and then start to rain down. And then we see you look back from the path behind it, and you think this might be a good chance to get moving again. And as you look ahead, Drummer, you can see that Analoth has managed to dodge one of these, and you're feeling like, I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm feeling like you got to get back in the game.
How fast are they moving these spheres?
There's, they seem to be lobbed at a pretty at a rate of speed faster than someone throwing them or lobbing them. That's for sure. And there's a measure of precision
Hmm.
that doesn't seem entirely inept.
Okay, well, if and they're launched at me, so
One was launched at you. The next
yeah.
one was
Hmm.
launched at Drum or at Analoth,
Hmm.
and
I'm
managed to miss.
Yeah, I'm casting Mage Hand right in front of me.
Okay.
So I'm going. If the next one comes, either it goes right into the Mage Hand itself, or I'm trying to move the hand a bit to swat it away.
I love this. I love this. This is
Hmm.
brilliant. How quickly would you like to start moving ahead?
Well, as soon as I've cast Mage Hand, I'm going to follow Enaloth.
You're gonna sort of slink around.
Well, he seemed to have success with that, so I'm following suit. Yeah,
Okay. Roll me a stealth check as well, please.
it's a 13.
Okay. As as you sort of hunker down, a little, probably a little bit behind Analoth in this vegetation. There's a bit of a lull. It doesn't seem like anything else has been launched for many seconds, maybe 30 seconds. You're not quite sure. The weird sensation of time right now, given that you're covered in red piquant pigment, and I'm sure you feel at least at ease that there's a lot of Analoth in front of you. And you hear, "Oh, come on and out! You gotta take your licks like everybody. You can't hide forever."
Well, then I stop sneaking, and with the I mean I think if it took 30 seconds up to this point, I have half a minute of mage hand left, so I'm walking behind my mage hand in front of me to where that voice came from.
Roll me a sleight of hand check, please.
That's a 12.
Um, Surprisingly to me, that's actually a success. As you walk out, you hear a faint whistle, and as you move your mage hand in that direction, you just catch this little gold orb with green, whatever this pigment is, right in front of you, and you can see it through your mage hand. What it's got, and then you hear, "Okay, all right, that was nice." And then you hear, "Thump, thump," and but you guys should run. And what do you do?
Are you able to throw that orb back?
Well, at the moment, I'm not thinking about the mage hand anymore. As soon as I hear the whoop whoop and you guys should run, I'm using my feline agility and I double my speed, um, and I just dash with double speed to where this voice comes from.
Yeah, what is that by way of distance?
Well, it says when you move on your turn in combat, we're not in combat, you can double
That's
your
fine.
speed until the end of turn. So if I dash, I would get like a 90 feet, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you rush into the rising sun, you can start to make out now that Cyanil and Bios, they have what look like sort of t-shirt guns. They're these glass cylinders, and they've got these what look like magically pressurized tanks. And they both look like they're having a real fucking great time popping off. But you see, as you're sort of rushing forward, you see them sort of looking up at an angle, and as you move, you look back over your shoulder and you can see two big cylinders instead of these little balls. And as they arc, you hear them both go, and you see white powder start to just rain down over this space. Can I get a dexterity saving throw from Analoth, please?
Six.
As you walk out, clearly still munching on your scone, we I guess we just see this powder rain down over all the plants. It just sort of coats everything with a thin dusting, including you. You now look more powdery gray than orange and black, and so your scone has the same sort of powder on it.
That's honestly the worst part about this. Not only do I have to take a bath, but I've lost my food too. Um, is this what is this powder made of? Do I know?
Would you like to do a nature check?
Yeah.
Do a nature check.
10.
How do you try to ascertain what this is?
I want to smell it.
Okay. As we see like two wisps of it go up into your nose, and you just like sort of, and as it starts to run down your throat, it doesn't feels kind of scratchy and not nice. It's is it bone? Ash? That's what it sort of tastes like.
That's gross. Okay. All right. I guess I'll keep moving forward then.
Okay.
Still just trying to stick to one side so I give myself more room to dodge if something is aimed at me.
Yeah, as you start slinking forward little by little, we see these puffs of ash billow off of you, just little clouds of it. And as you keep slinking, you look ahead and you see that Bios and Cyanel Silverwhip are both standing. Cyanel's handing Bios this t-shirt gun looking contraption and seems very pleased. And you actually see what looks like a plant person. They're not much bigger than Bios is, and you see them sort of pat with two long, leafy limbs. Bios on the shoulder a couple of times, and Bios turns and smiles and gives a thumbs up. And you see this little plant person go sort of skipping off and back into the gardens there. And as the two of you are sort of standing there at the edge of this first uh, first stage, you see Cyanel Silverwhip stride over, and she's got a bit of a disconcerted look on her face, although still humored. And she leans in and says, the object is not to get covered with the powder.
Are we going to be sent on a mission against renegade painters?
You could only hope.
Mm-hmm.
And she turns and begins to stride uh, down past what looks like a petanque court or a bocce court. It's sort of a wide, long, graveled space, and she unlocks a gate, which looks unnecessarily heavy for a petanque court, and then steps inside.
Well, before I follow, I cast a prestidigitation on Analog to get the white stuff off of him.
Nice.
I actually like the peppery taste of my
Sure.
red
You can get around
red
to it whenever
powder.
you'd like.
Yeah,
Save it for the kitchen.
yeah. But then, okay. So how about a round of petanque? I look to Analog.
Thank you for getting that off of me. It was very isn't pleasant on the nose. Um, yeah, it doesn't feel like we're doing that well. I mean, do you think it's our approach, or
Well, I think that was brilliant. I mean, some hit us, some didn't, and
you caught one? That was really cool.
yeah. She's probably just mad because I caught that one and the one missed you, and now she wants to give us the feeling that we're doing bad. I
Uh,
think we're doing splendid.
you hear Bios go, actually, that was my shot that you caught.
Hmm.
And she looks jovially at you.
Mhm.
Oh well, thanks, Bios. uh,
Oh, I
and
didn't
then I
say you
just
were
want to.
doing well. I just wanted to be clear on the facts of the matter. And she sort of tucks the two guns under her arms and waddles through the powder towards the stairwell.
I keep insisting to Analog that we're doing great, and I'm going to yeah, give him bardic inspiration by doing so.
Nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, as the two of you approach, you see Cyanel. She has taken up position on the far side of this gravel court, and is standing, hands on her hips, expectantly.
I step up. Is there anything? Is there like a, I don't know, petanque? Is it called played with balls? No, it's
Bool, or balls. Yeah, they're
yeah.
yeah.
Do I see anything to play the game with?
No, you don't.
Okay. So I stand in front of her. I'm very pleased with myself at the moment. I really believe that we're doing great. So I'm standing right in front of her. Okay, what's next?
How far away would you say you stand from her? The court is quite long. It's nearly 60 feet.
Oh, okay.
And, or sorry, a little over 40 feet. And is, yeah, it's just that thin gray gravel. Um,
Well, since expect us to play a sort of game, I would keep a distance of about 20 feet.
okay.
So for like a back and forth. So I wouldn't go any closer.
As you step onto that gravel, and sort of set both feet on it and go to take a step forward. Can I get a perception check, please?
That's an 18.
Yeah, as you take your like third step, you sort of like step one, step two. When you go to take your third step, you start to feel a buzzing under your foot. And can I get a dexterity saving throw with advantage, please?
That's a 17.
Uh, yeah, as you pull your foot up, you see a little like needle nosed something or other comes zip up out of the dirt, and then retreat just as quickly.
So it was I lifted my foot and the needle came out then.
Yeah. Well, that was just a matter of you doing a good job saving.
Okay. I turned to Analoth and I was like, there's needles in the ground, and I stand completely still, like one one foot in
Mm-hmm.
the air, and hmm,
Can I get an insight check?
sure. Oh, that brilliant. That's a 27.
Several things come to you at once. You hold that position in just a beautiful, like almost Zen pose. And we see your mind swirl, and you trace back your steps, and you think, where did that thing come from? And as you think about the footfalls that you took, that third one essentially would have been a well-timed place if you didn't know that something was coming. And
Hmm.
then you think, if that's there, there's probably more than one.
So it was like a pressure plate, or
No, you. It was sort of alive. It looked organic, almost like an
okay.
insectoid little spike. And with such a good insight roll, and because you are by nature a drummer, I think it's very fitting that what you'll have to do to get to Cyanel is uh, have a cadence which has no cadence. So they can't perceive
Mm-hmm.
where you're going to go next.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to cast Blade Ward on myself. So if
Nice.
anything piercing, if I miss anything, then at least I have resistance against the piercing damage. And you say a cadence without a cadence. Let me just. No, but it's not a creature that I can see, right?
It is not. What is the effect you're trying to?
Well, I was thinking because it I have the second level spell Enthrall, and if I cast Enthrall, then a creature just is focused on me, and its perception on others would be a disadvantage. So if I enthrall this creature, then Analoth could get through without maybe the thing noticing where he steps, or has a hard time noticing.
I will say this. I believe that the thing has to see you.
Yeah. It's I think it's based on vision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So no go there, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, then I go to her and I use a performance check to get this rhythm. That's not a, a rhythm. Then to move rather a rhythmic, like 2 steps and then like a break beat and then 3 steps and then break and then 1 step again.
Roll me a performance check, please.
Yeah.
Analoth, you look on and see this little jig that drummer's putting on. It's let's find out how good it is.
It's a 26.
It's the most arrhythmic dancing you've ever seen in your entire life. Every movement seems disjointed, and as you see him move across this gravel, you start seeing all these little spikes start sticking up in places that are nowhere near where his next step's going to be. Uh, Go ahead.
I turn to Analoth and I call Analoth. Do you remember when you were doing the tango with this lady? Yeah? Just do the same thing here. Just like you did with that lady, that the tango, where you always stepped on her feet. Just do the same thing.
Uh, Fantastic. As you sort of foxtrot, Lindy Hop, salsa, flamenco your way down the corridor here, you see Cyanel express a sense of delight. And you can see that the patch of gravel that she's standing on at the end of this is a different color. And as you step foot on it, you feel a density underfoot that you did not feel on that other gravel. And she puts her hand on your shoulder and smiles at you and then beckons to Analoth.
Just a quick note to Analoth. When you use the Bardic Inspiration die and you fail your roll, you still keep it because I'm because I'm 6th level, and that's just a
Nice.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
hot.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
I like
Sorry.
how you use the word win.
um, I want to manifest my echo because I haven't stepped onto this field yet because I'm just watching drummer Jiggy across it.
Correct.
Um, and so I want because I can see the spikes that are like not that he's dodged successfully. So I just want to try and bait those spikes to not me because I enjoy not having spikes in me. And just
That does seem like a good plan.
have my echo just kind of stomping gracelessly as I try to more stealthily move across the field.
Very interesting. Beautiful. Can I get a performance check for your echo and a stealth check with it? Well, we'll do a stealth check for you. We'll see if the echo does, I guess, good or bad enough. Let's find out.
It's a 20 for the echo.
Yeah, it's it's a little unruly thinking that someone would consider this series of motions to be a tango. And as we see this tremendously sized feline centaur really doing the like most graceless thing you've seen a cat do, besides simply fall down, which at times you think is a real possibility. We see as it moves down in this rhythmic pattern, we start seeing these little spikes sticking up in ways that aren't near it. And as you take to the sands, can I get a stealth check with advantage, please?
23.
On silent pads, the gravel ungrinding underfoot. You skulk across this, and as this vision of you jostles uncomfortably down the pathway, you slink silently behind it. And as it manages to make its way somewhat backwards onto that platform, you see the little spikes start to die down, and we see you step forward, sort of vivisected by your own echo. And Sinel looks up, and she's being very thoughtful about what she wants to say. She looks at the echo and she looks at you, and she says, "That was impressive." And she nods to each of you, and she turns around and she leaps from the edge of this sort of petanque court onto the fence that was behind her, up about 8 feet, and then leaps to the edge of another fence that you can sort of see through these openings, and then leaps down into whatever's in that space over there.
I want to follow her, but then this leaping seems a bit reckless. Is there a slower way just to follow her?
I mean, if you want to, if you look over there, there's a gate.
Um,
I mean,
no, I leap. I leap
Right,
too.
okay.
No, no, no.
Roll me an acrobatics check.
Yeah, that's a 15.
Yeah, you leap up, and just sort of grab the bar, to be certain that you don't like overshoot this, and pull yourself up with relative ease. And as you look, the jump from here to the next space is only about 15 feet. You should be able to span it with relative ease.
Yeah, I'm doing all the jumps that she did.
Give me one more.
Hmm. That's just a 9.
As you go to leap to that uh, second gate, it seems like you probably should have leapt up more because it seems higher. Can I get a dexterity saving throw as you realize you're not going to make this jump as gracefully as you'd like?
Yeah, the dex save is 21.
Yeah, and I think we see sort of the same effect, but more coming down. We just see your claws come out and grab the top, and we can see your face as you look down into this next challenge. And as you look down, it's not an encouraging view. Analoth.
Yeah.
Your buddy just jumped up on the fence and then jumped across. You saw them jump across. You can't see down into what's next, but you see them sort of hanging for just a second before they very easily pull themselves up and start looking down into the next challenge.
Okay. I wanna send my echo to mimic the jumps he did, uh, to try and follow where he was going.
Give me an or athletics or acrobatics check, please.
Okay. It's a 10.
Yeah, as it goes to leap up to the first fence, it seems to miss its footing and takes 1 point of damage and then dissipates.
Oh, all right. I'll try it myself then. I will. I wanna follow the interesting way that he went,
All right,
just
athletics
because
or
it looked cool.
acrobatics? Show me what you got.
All right, I got a 9. I'm gonna go down with it.
You go to sort of clamber. You like jump. You realize this like you didn't know why you're jumping with your arms. You should have just been jumping with your fucking cat paws, I guess. But you sort of go over the end here, and the worst part is that you're 7 feet tall, so you're more just sort of draping your arms over this one. Like I couldn't be fucking bothered to jump. And as you look out, can I get a perception check, Analoth?
4.
Uh, Fantastic. You don't see anything at all. But you do, drummer. As you look down, you see what sort of looks like um, a, a habitat. There's a large sort of basin here, and there's gray, soft, weathered stones sticking out from sandy sort of slopes on each side. And it looks like, as you would imagine, a habitat. There's places to sort of rest, or there's a little water feature there with a pond, which seems far too big for this space as you look into it. And on the far side, you see on one of these precipices, Cyanil Silverwhip is standing there, and she gestures downward into sort of the second deeper level of this basin, and you see what looks like I can the best thing I can give you is a stag beetle rhinoceros with more of like a shovel platypus face. So it's like a wedge sort of face, with an almost immediate wedge horn that goes up and another horn sort of ridge on its head. And it has sort of the body of like a rhino or a hippopotamus.
But that's just one creature there.
Yes, you see one creature there.
Yeah, I don't want to go in while Analoth isn't ready. So let me just look up something.
Sure. Analoth, how's your nap coming?
Can I take a walk of shame through the gate?
Yeah, please do. As you walk out the gate, the door just barely misses you over top. And we hear the gate clang and rattle behind you as you sullenly stride towards the next gate. As you look, this gate has more of a curvature to it than it first appeared. And as you approach, you see a gate door swing open, not too far in front of you. Your buddy's still up. Drummer's on the fence there, about 10 feet up.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so he's.
as soon as I see Analoth enter, I jump down.
Do you go in Analoth?
Yeah, I want to be beside drummer.
Okay. As you stride in, we see you step onto sort of this long, curved gray stone. And again, it's got this soft beige tan sand and thin gravel over top of it. And as we hear it sort of crunch under your feet, both of you look down into this basin and then sort of this lower basin. And Siena looks up to the two of you, and you hear the gate close to your left. And she says, "Time to make friends." And she takes 2 steps and hops up onto the fence and crosses her legs and crosses her hands in her lap. And she looks like she's ready for a show.
This thing doesn't appear friendly, does it? It.
Roll me an insight or animal handling check.
Okay. $14.
Which did you do?
Insight.
This thing is potentially very dangerous. It does not currently seem to be hostile.
Okay. Just look at drummer, and I like I have vague-ish knowledge of this, but it looks dangerous, and I'm not really sure if we want to go head to head with it while in this enclosure. While she looks up there very smug, like she knows something we don't.
You don't always get to pick your battles.
But is it considered an animal?
It is a beast.
It's a beast. Well, I mean, I expend a first level spell and I cast Animal Friendship.
Excellent. What do you say and or do that conveys that magic? And what does it look like as it sort of activates?
Well, I I hope that it understands me. So I stand, I address it, and I was like, "You are a magnificent beast. You are not just a beast, you are a menagerie. You are an inspiration to lovers of fauna and maybe flora alike. You are nature's gift to a bard like me because I can see the abundance of life in you, the beauty of existence, creation without limits, without bounds. I admire you. Will you admire me at least a little bit back?"
Magnificent. It's a wisdom saving throw.
It's a yeah, it's a wisdom. Yeah, it's a wisdom saving throw. But if the beast's intelligence is 4 or higher, the spell automatically fails.
Roll me an insight check. Also, what does the magic look like as it takes effect? Do we see a visual effect to it?
Well, you see the visual effect in Drummer because I mean he's a good looking cat, but when he speaks and uses his magic, he looks at least a foot taller. He you just want to be near him. You just want to hear him. You want to agree with him, basically. So that's like an aura that's around him when he speaks these magic words, but you do not actually see like magic flowing from him. It's really
Mm-hmm.
just through his words and this aura that he has.
I love it.
And you
Um,
wanted insight, right?
yes, please.
That's a dirty 20.
Um, what's your normal saving throw?
My no, sorry.
Under your spells, your
Yeah.
save DC.
Oh, that's 16.
Okay. As you begin to speak,
Hmm.
it takes a moment for this thing to sort of orient itself, and it starts to turn its body and face you, and you see these two wide. They're slightly off center. They're not facing full forward. They're not facing full to the side. They're just sort of like ultravision widescreen, but they do sort of center on you. And as it raises its head, you can see this shovel like protrusion could probably uproot uh, anything. It looks like if this thing wanted to just slam into something until it got tired, probably by the time it got tired, that thing would have been wedged out of existence. And the splitter sort of horn that it has an axe-like quality to it as you look down the middle of it and see both of its eyes focused on you. And it starts to trundle forward, and it sort of rests the edge of that wedge on the second sort of tier here between you and this creature. You'd have to jump down off of that rock, and then you'd be sort of like really in the enclosure or in the habitat.
I mean, I'm a cat, so I know that there are spots on my body that I cannot reach. And is there any spot on its body that I guess it cannot easily reach?
Roll me a nature check.
Oh, that's bad. It's a 5.
Um, as you look at this thing, you realize that it could probably use that like horn-like thing, and probably like get damn near any part it needed to itch. You don't even you make maybe that was like an evolutionary thing where it was like maybe it's not dangerous, maybe it's just an itching stick.
Well, but then I cast prestidigitation again, and I just give it a light scratch at the base of the horn.
Which one? There's two. There's sort of a big front one, and then
Oh,
there's sort of a
the
bony ridge
yeah,
from their
the
sort of just before their eyes back.
yeah, the big front one. Just a little
Okay.
scratch. I mean,
Roll me a sleight of hand check. Analoth, what are you doing
that's
as you look down at this thing?
it's a 13.
Okay.
I'm just trying to gauge if it's worth whatever the I think is it the Mercenary Guild
Yeah.
uh has to offer me if I get down with this terrifying looking bug and kind of regretting my life's decisions that have led me to this point. Um,
Mhm.
how far down is it from the ledge that I'm on?
If you just, it's more than a step. You'd have to jump down. Um, uh, you would have to like lean way back and just sort of let your cat paws sort of catch you as you slid down maybe 4 to 5 feet vertically, and then it sort of continues to slope downward to this circular sort of pit that this thing is currently in.
So it would be hard to get back out from the way that it slopes, be like
Uh,
slippery almost.
yeah, yeah, like an enclosure, like when you keep a thing in a place.
Mhm. Okay. I think I'm going to try to slowly slide down into the enclosure,
Okay.
kind of still hugging, like kind of. Well, I mean, it's not really the corners, but just uh, as trying to appear as small and non-threatening as I can as a 7 foot animal of like a predator animal.
Predatory nature coming into an enclosure with another animal.
Yeah, but very slowly, but not like I'm trying to stalk it. Just like I'm trying to,
Uh huh.
say a polite hi and offer a fruitcake that I don't want.
How's it? Oh boy. Oh boy. Um. Let's start with a dexterity check, please. Just a straight dexterity check.
Uh, okay. How do I do a dexterity check?
Just on your
Oh wait, I
stats
see
at the
it. Okay,
top.
it was just not in the button where I thought it would be.
Right.
17.
Yeah, as you step down, you feel a bit more sure of foot than you were anticipating. You sort of dig your claws in as you start making your way down this sand, and you can sort of stay on the high side of the enclosure here, which as you get down into it, you do start to see bricks, uh, which are they've got to be deeper than they'd have to get into the body of the ship, right? If it actually went this deep. And as you slink along, can I get an animal handling check, please, Analog?
3.
As you begin to skulk into this thing's enclosure, you see it whip its head with a preternatural speed towards you about your second step into the enclosure. And it is just like, all eyes on you, kid. What do you do?
I would like to try and hold my position where I am, so I'm not still approaching it, and it's very dangerous looking horde.
It positions its body behind its head. You see it sort of take a step forward and its body sort of come in line with its head looking at you. And it takes one more step forward, and the edge of its sort of flat bill rests against the dirt in front of you.
Does it look like it's trying to hurt me, or does it look like it's trying to investigate me?
It's moving very slowly, so it's not like lurching forward. You were moving slowly. Its head moved quickly, and then its body moved slowly.
Okay, I want to keep inching forward then, but
Uh,
like angle myself slightly away from the horn that it rested below me because I don't want to get caught on the upswing of that.
yeah. Boy, howdy. Um, Drummer, what do you do as you see the attention of this creature shifts to your party member?
I don't want to leave him in there alone. I lower myself into the enclosure as well, but also very slow. Try to be non-threatening. Just to be there if anything happens.
Roll me a stealth check, please.
hmm That's a dirty 20.
As you slip, as this thing's attention shifts this way, we see you move down the other side of the rock into that enclosure. And part of it is still shadowed because the sun is sort of below you in your current state. And so we see you move into that dimmer light with relative ease, and see this thing. It's sitting facing mostly away from you and looking at Analoth. And Analoth and this thing aren't much differently sized. This is a little more compact and a lot broader, and God only knows what that thickness can do yet. But you see it wagging a little tail.
I look over at Arnold, which seems perhaps still happy that we're here. Do we just cross the enclosure and leave? I mean, would that be the test?
Is there an exit on the other side of this enclosure?
Not one that you can perceive.
Okay. Yeah, let's
Cyanel
see
looks
us.
bored.
Let her be
Cyanel was
bored.
is she's leaning now on the gate, and she's just sort of like rubbing her forehead, like
Yeah. I'll just look at Drummer and say, yeah, let's try to see the other side of this enclosure, so long as it,
hmm
it's staying docile.
Yeah, we move across. I already start thinking about tricks that I can teach this platypus beetle. Maybe.
as uh, as the two of you start to move. I need another stealth check from Drummer, and let's start with that.
That's a 25.
You move. Cyanel doesn't know where you are. And as you start to move, Analoth, can I get a dexterity saving throw, please?
18.
As you start moving around this enclosure, this thing is following you like inch for inch for inch for inch. It is positioning itself constantly. When you get to about halfway through the enclosure here, you're just about to where the rock was that Sinel was standing on when you both saw her uh, before. Uh, and as you cross that threshold, you hear a faint whimper from this thing.
Is it uh okay, I want to pause because I don't know what any of the noises this thing makes what they mean. Um and it wasn't whimpering before I got here, so I wanna retreat a few steps to see if it'll stop.
There's nowhere to go. You are at a rocky overhang here, so you can backtrack, or you can move sort of deep more under the rock, which actually brings you a little closer to it inside the enclosure.
Right, I wanted to backtrack.
Okay. As you backtrack, it starts to pursue you again.
Hostily, or is it's just constantly just like looking at me like I am the coolest thing ever?
It's leaning more. You can see this wedge sort of coming up over the edge now of the lip of this lower circle that it's in, pit that it's in.
Okay. I can't see drummer because he just went like he
He is
faded, right?
absolutely you look up, he's not on the rock there. You look around the enclosure and you don't see, he just fucking vanished and left me in
Okay.
here with this fucking thing.
Right. Well, I um okay. And is the beetle, is it like right in front of me, or like can I touch it?
Its face is about 4 feet away from your paw, and the pit that it's in is maybe about 4.5 feet deep, and this thing is very, it's all about like 7-8 feet long and thick, girthy, round, um, and it is sort of like pushing itself a little forward to sort of get its head up a little more towards you.
Um,
Okay. Can I take like a half step towards it with my hand outstretched
Yeah, roll me
just to see?
animal handling check.
11.
Um, as you reach down and lean over, this thing lurches forward, and that wedge just goes right underneath your paws, and you go tumbling onto this thing's face. And as it starts to retreat, you are sort of bent over in a real weird, uncomfortable position. This thing's middle, like upright horn. And just before you think you're going to fall this way, as it's rearing back up, instead it levels out and leaves you prone on the ground in the middle of the pit and retreats about 10 feet. And you hear Cyanel, she readjusts herself and leans forward, locking her feet behind some of the fences to stabilize herself. And she looks down and goes, "Here we go."
as I see Sinal do that, I want to cast Detect Thoughts on her. Just
Mm-hmm.
like for the very yeah, the most present thought that goes through her
Yeah,
mind.
as soon as you do that,
Hmm?
you get the images of like flash after flash of like bull riding, and it seems like a combination of like bull riding and oh god, what's the Spanish with the bulls? God damn it!
Bullfighting.
Yeah, there's a specific thing that they're called. But yeah, like bullfighting, rodeo, like people riding broncos. You see all these sorts of images of what look like, um, well, traditionally wrangling a beast.
Mm, can I wait? Yeah, I call to Analog. Come on, let's break this Bronco in. This is slap a saddle on that thing and just you know ride it.
As you hear the declaration, "Ride it," you hear what sounds like, I would say, a Subaru with all-wheel drive, skidding its tires all at the same time on a gravel rally course. And we see your sideways vision here, Analoth, of this thing's wedged nose scraping over the rocks. And can I get a dexterity saving throw with disadvantage from Analoth, please?
9.
Magnificent. This thing slams into you, and you are folded again. This time around your cat section, and it is no less painful. In fact, it might be more so because you're also being pushed against the rocks, which are seemingly both larger and sharper in this lower pit. And you are going to take 7 points of damage between the scraping of the rocks and the battering of this thing's horn. And then things get really interesting because you feel yourself start to tilt to one side and realize that this thing has changed trajectory. And as you begin to turn, can I get an athletics check or acrobatics check, please, Analoth?
So 26 acrobatics.
As you start to uh, feel this thing's sort of like body shift, you realize that this thing is about to, the whole thing is about to twist hard. And so we see you, as you come to this realization, starting to slide down the paddle wedge of this thing's face. We see you like looking in its eye as you go past, and then it goes to like flip you. And instead, what we see is you grab a hold of that horn and sort of bring yourself almost onto your feet at a 90-degree angle. And this thing brings its face back down, having expected to launch you. And as the dust settles, we see its eye looking, peering up at you, and is a bit surprised. Drummer, what do you do as you see the dust start to settle?
Well, drama has never been a friend of fair fights. So as I see that this thing is tossing Analog around, I'm casting slow on it.
Mm,
Um, and the way that I cast it is I project this a drone sound with a sort of pulse, and the pulse becomes slower and slower and slower, so that it comes to like at the end 30 beats per minute maybe,
right.
and with that the creature's metabolism slows down, so the whole thing, I think he gets a wisdom saving throw. So before I tell you that it's becoming slow, let's have that.
Um, you see that sort of undulation as you do it. You do sort of see it like its body sort of ripples fatly from that effect. And for a moment, it is not moving. Analoth, what do you do? You're on this thing's face.
Uh, I mean, well, drummer told me to write it, so I think I'm going to stay planted where I am. Just try to get a better grip on it so I'm more secure. Uh,
Uh,
Probably using my claws to get like to dig some grooves into it to get a better hold.
Fantastic. As you do that, can I get a dexterity saving throw, please?
Okay. 19.
uh, as you start to like turn and try and grab a hold of this thing's like front horn and dig in, uh, you feel it lilt to one side, and as you try and sink your claws in to make sure that you're like really good and in there, it flaps back and knocks you right in the side of your skull. And you see stars. You feel like you just got hit with a giant bony protrusion that's been hardened by millions of years of evolution. And it's going to be 7 points of bludgeoning damage to your dome.
It's okay. I wanted a concussion. Actually, it's what I was, hoping for.
And as you look on, drummer, you're not sure whether the spell worked or not, but you think your buddy's still in a precarious position. And Cyanel looks on over templed fingers.
Well, I'm going to cast Enhance Ability on Enelef then to targeting his dex to give him advantage on all dex saves, and I'm just going to give him a recap of all the dexterous things that I saw him do. Remember when we fought the Hydra and you jumped left, you jumped right, you shot it into the head, and then while you're constantly jumping around, you're doing all this crazy dexterous stuff. Remember that.
It's well timed because as you realize that you're a little bit dazed, this thing starts moving with you hear that grinding of these thick feet into the gravel, and this thing starts rushing towards the edge of this pit again. And as it does, it puts its chin up and hits the edge and wedges up and sort of puts its feet up as well. And you are straight, I mean, looking straight up, holding on to this horn. And it begins to shake side to side like this, trying to fling you off. Um, is there anything you'd like to do about that?
Uh, Jeez.
You're
Is
dangling, looking down. You're looking down into its eyes and this bony ridge and its bloated torso.
right. Is its whole body moving or just its horn? Like if I let go of its horn and slid down, could I get a more, less
I mean,
wobbly grip?
it is so much mass to move that really all of it is undulating for sure. But an appropriate acrobatics or athletics check could send you in the right direction.
Okay. It's a 26 acrobatics.
Beautiful. You're like, all I have to do is not smack dab on that bony protrusion, and I can just ride this thing all the way down.
Yeah, I wanna try to keep my stance on it. Um, since that was this is kind of the last thing I heard from Drummer before before a random inspiration out of the darkness.
Sure. Yeah, as you sort of make your way back down, you've got a little bit of reach here, but you still just got to kind of get down this thing's body. And as it tries to shake either way, there's actually sort of this window in the middle where it can't really get you. And as you sort of slide down the rest of this thing's body, you realize you can, once you're on the other side of this thing's big wedge face head. It's really not that big compared to you. Um, like in if you're trying to mount a thing, I guess.
Sorry, give me 1 sec. My headset cut out.
We're just talking about animal husbandry, I guess. You mounting this beast.
Okay, I'm sorry. Could you repeat like the last 10 seconds of what you said?
You can just watch it on Twitch right now. It's probably caught up by now.
I was trying to read it, but the subtitles are a little wonky.
Let's see here. To recap, as you sort of drop down this thing's body, you realize it's a lot of its face, a lot of its face, and the body back here, compared to yours, is not that much larger. That it doesn't seem inappropriate, even for one to potentially ride one of these.
Okay. Yeah, I wanna try to write it if I can.
Roll me an animal handling check, please.
I want to use my bardic inspiration on this one. I think.
Not a bad time to apply it now.
Um, let's see. That was a 15 without it. Is that a? It's a D8 for the.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so 23.
As you come around the back of this thing, and sort of hunker each of your feline tiger paws into a more um, peaceful and tactile manner, that this thing's disposition changes dramatically. It sort of hunkers a little bit as you sort of get on top of it. And from your upper, more humanoid body, you look out sort of over the wedge of this face, and roll me a history or animal handling check.
16 on history.
Uh, as as you think about this creature, you recall that they're a quite ancient beast of burden. They were used to do stuff like cutting peat out of bogs or mining softer minerals. And they're actually like real gentle giants and real workhorses. They love doing it. They do it naturally, and there was just this thing they would say where you could sit on it and just have a single leather strap across its horn and the faintest turn in one direction or the other and it would follow your lead uh, almost almost innately.
Okay. Um, I wanna like gently pat this thing with my hands to try and keep it docile under me while I kind of just shout into the void for drummer. You have a rope?
I don't think that I have a rope on me, but my scarf is about, I guess, 9 feet long if I unravel it.
Yeah.
So I throw him my scarf, and it's like, ah,
Please describe this for me as this thing goes whipping across the air. What colors? Is there a pattern on it?
well, there's multiple colors of it. He likes to tell the tale that uh, a succession of girlfriends worked on it for him, and because they all adored him so much. But then sometimes late at night you see him adding things to it, so it's just like it's all kinds of colors, whatever scraps of wool he could get his hands on. It's mainly yellow, green, and blue, but then there are also like flecks of red and earthy colors in it. So it's really it's just a cacophony of colors.
As this goes whipping through the air, you see Cyanel, and she's leaned forward and has her chin sort of pinched, leaned onto the edge of her knee. And as this whips across this pit, Analoth, you almost have to like grab it before it hits you. And roll me a sleight of hand or animal handling check, please.
11 on sleight of hand.
As you begin to unfurl this thing, you see how long it is, and it drapes out this really colorful visage, sort of off the nose of this thing, and a bit into the dirt a little bit. And you realize you really would have had to whip it to get it all the way around. But there's this sense that you're not quite sure if you get off, that's going to fix things, or if you can just try and do that again. And there's this moment where you sort of look down, and this thing's eyes are very clearly focused up at you, almost quizzically wondering what the fuck you're doing.
um, I think I want to get down so I'm not snapping this colorful thing above this, this kind of wild beast's eyes and potentially scaring it.
Uh,
So I just like gently pat it as I slide off of my position where I had mounted it and just try to, quickly and calmly go and collect this scarf and
uh, as you slide down, the uh, uh, the you see one of these eyes is sort of examining the scarf. You can't see what the other eye is looking at. You're just on this one side. You see it sort of looking at that scarf. And as you get off, there is this beautiful length of fabric now draped across the nose of this thing. And as you step back, it doesn't move. With that fabric draped over it, you don't know if it thinks it's trapped or what, but it's like not moving at all. It's not moving a muscle. It's not twitching at all.
Okay, then I want to quickly get it so I have both ends draped over its nose properly and reseat myself where I was.
Yeah, as we see you drape this beautiful tapestry, we see from this creature's eyes and vantage point. And uh, this beast is met with this storied tale woven by Drummer. And we see it in this distended panoramic of this thing's perspective. And it is immediately captivated by this visage. And as you take your seat, Analoth, and sort of pick up those two pieces of fabric at the same time, it stands underneath you alertly.
I want to know where Drummer is. I am. You just see my head on a swivel with like the biggest grin. I'm like, Drummer,
I
Drummer, do you see this?
I come out and I applaud. And this is fantastic.
It's so cool. I wanna like try and get it to just to tilt the head like I of the piece of history I remember just to see how smooth it glides.
It's stupid. It's stupid easy. It seems like the faintest change in direction. It's like it is honestly like it's just moving blindly. And the But the joy of this thing is it's got this beautiful like scarf to look at, and so that's keeping plenty of its attention. You can move it wherever the hell you want to. It's easier than a caterpillar.
Yeah. I want to look up at a spectator and then just kind of give it like a tilt of my head like is this it?
She looks down and she smiles and says, "Does it feel like a victory?"
Yeah, it does feel like a victory. Um, it it looks so calm and it's so easy to handle despite uh the trouble of getting where I am.
It could have gone a lot um, worse.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Looking at its no, its horns. It's not interested on being on the receiving end of those.
She looks down and she considers her wrist. She doesn't have a watch on it, and she says, "Do you think we have time for one more before we break?"
Uh, Drummer, you down for one more?
Well, I need a break.
Um,
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
she looks and says, we don't need to endurance test you quite yet." And she slinks down into the enclosure and strides across the sands with a grace that seems almost impossible. That since you guys know that that is gravelly and probably slippery, and she moves just like so confidently that it seems nigh impossible. And she walks down next to this creature and looks up at Analoth. And she walks along, and she too examines the this scarf as she's walking around the face of this thing, and as she walks down the middle of it, she sort of rubs its upright horn, and she looks back at both of you, and as she does, she says, "Let's let's see who's good at drinking, shall we?" And she turns and leaps up onto the rocks, and then in a single stride, from here to here, and another from here to here, she leaps to the edge of the gate, and you see her somewhat haloed by the sun now rising over fully the deck of the ship. And she says, "I'll see you in the mess." And she drops behind the fence.
All right. So to the mess drummer, do you want this scarf back, or should I just like tie it and leave this here? Or think she'll let me
Um,
keep it?
I mean, you can have it every time we go back to this creature, but I really want it back though.
Okay, if this
So
thing
many
flings me,
memories. Or is it going to cause a problem? I mean, if I see that the animal reacts in a funny way, I just let him have it. But
I have no
Uh,
idea how this thing will react.
well, I'll tell you. It now sort of realizing that you're here to just sort of make it do the thing. As you let loose that scarf, it sort of falls limply. And we see this thing's eyes still sort of looking over it and then looking up and considering Drummer. And Drummer, as you go to retrieve it, it sort of sniffs a little bit at your hand. And as you furl up this scarf and take it back, this thing sort of sniffs around a little bit more, and as you dismount, Analoth, it sort of nudges into you a little bit. And as the two of you start to make your way out of this enclosure, you look back, and this thing begins to wail with the worst fucking sound you've ever heard in your entire life. It's like ear splitting, like ringing in you, and it's like, and you're just like, oh my, and that's where I'll leave you tonight.
Oh my goodness!
It's gonna. It was you were his new friends.
Does
It's
it have
very
separation anxiety?
yes.
Oh,
That you didn't have to roll an
poor
insight
thing.
check for that.
I feel bad.
That's part of the test. So great seeing y'all tonight. Thank you for joining me. This was an absolute blast. Yeah, next week it's going to be the mental assessments and acuity,
mhm.
and we might even see if anybody's got any magical prowess. See you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you. Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye.